Hello, I'm Giada and I'm the director and founder of Arte Spirituality, social enterprise based in Edinburgh. I've got over 25 years of corporate experience, which was my old life, so coming from the world of international events that I was organizing around the world, and I moved to Scotland 12 years ago. I fell in love with Edinburgh, with the city, and then I entirely and slowly changed my career, my way of working. I've always been, of course, interested in spirituality and practice on a personal level spirituality. I've been into the creative arts, but it was just something that I was using for my own benefits in order to try to be well and to take care of my own well-being when I was in that very stressful environment. Then when I moved to Scotland, I stayed another 7-8 years in the same field, in the same environments. And then during the lockdown, the department was closed magically. And so when we came out from the lockdown, I just managed, with all the synchronicities in life that were happening, to find a space in Gorgie. And then as soon the conditions became available and we came out from the pandemic, I just decided, which was actually my last dream on the vision board, to open a space that was dedicated to the healing arts in general, and that I would have called one day, like the big dream, art and spirituality. And so I found this studio in Gorgie, which was free, a yoga studio with a therapy room and a separate area, which is a separate business of a cafe. I decided to open the space. Of course, it was just after the pandemic, so all the conditions were very different from before. But then things aligned in a very quick way, because of course, when the universe wants you to help other people, this is how magically happens. And then the situations and the synchronicities become very quick, very fast. And with other two directors, we decided to start Art and Spirituality. We are the three of them from an international background, and just naturally it became that we were attracting women from international background as well to come here and attend classes in art, yoga, breathwork, meditation, therapies, simply because we were mirroring what they were, and we were sharing the same difficulties, the same challenges, and the area where our studio is based is particularly an area where there are a lot of people in needs. There is a large international community, and we face the same conditions when we move to this country, of having the barrier of the language, of being in a space in which especially it's a new home. But we are aware that when you move to a new country, there is a time in your life in which you don't know where home is, because the country where you come from is not the same anymore, and you can't recognize the people, lives that have changed so quickly, and still maybe you are not integrated in the new country. So there is an area, there is a time in which you need to find yourself, and that is what the majority of people in our community are saying, that when they come here, they call it home, because they feel that they can be themselves in a very informal, natural environment where there are a lot of other similar women facing the same challenges. We, of course, welcome men as well, but it's always said that men prefer to go to the gym instead of practicing yoga, but we do have male teachers as well. It's just that naturally it became that 90% of our community with a female background, and 75% of them are from an international background as well. So it was just naturally coming into attracting beneficiaries, just a natural process, instead of just being us sitting down at the table and saying and deciding we are going to help them. And I also would love to share, I was one of our volunteers that started to volunteer yesterday. She also said that when she was living in Kazakhstan, for example, she searched for a space where to come, because she knew that she would have moved to Edinburgh because of her husband's job. And she was searching for a yoga space in Edinburgh where to go around, because she was interested in yoga. And she found it, Art and Spirituality, in Instagram when she was there. And then when she moved here, she found, just by non-coincidence, her home not very far from the studio. And so that is why, again, sometimes we are guided where we are supposed to be, and with all the situations that in which we need to find ourselves, for which we can contribute to be welcomed and also help other people. The aim of art and spirituality is, I would say, healing. That's the main word that is combining the two words together, art and spirituality. First of all, I need to say that and explain maybe for people that don't know what spirituality is, because the majority of people think that's religion, but it's actually the journey of the soul, and we agree that we all have a soul, then we can call it spirit, we can call a part for which is inside of our body, and trying to do this journey in life and live this life in a better way than in the way we came. So it's much more than well-being. It's a personal growth, a personal development in which we need to heal ourselves first, and then for those who feel the call, go and decide to be able to help other people. For those that don't feel the call, still there is possible to help people in a simple peer support, or when we are talking to someone like a neighbor, a friend, and then maybe they are explaining that they need help, and so that attitude of being there as a listener and just saying the right words, or also the presence, is already a lot. And art has a healing aspect, because we know that through art, even if done in a simple way, just painting, putting colors on a piece of paper, or gardening, that's art as well. The culinary arts, cooking is art as well, even if people sometimes don't realize that. That's why, for example, we also offer cooking sessions. It's being able to heal ourselves and our emotions to these self-expressions in a non-guided and non-formal way, in which you just feel that you can just express in the way you want, without having someone giving their opinion, or without the need of showing that to someone, but just simply allow the flow of emotions to come out. And that's why I decided to use both art and spirituality as healing methods to allow people to find which one of the two or both of them is just better expressing and choosing their way for which they feel in that moment that they just want to communicate their inner challenges, and then maybe find a way to let them come out like a normal flow outside from their life. Decided to start Art and Spirituality as a social enterprise because I think it's truly representing the middle ground from which I come from, a business background with a heart in which I decided to embark myself on a journey of helping others. And of course, when you start at the beginning, coming from a different environment, you need to be practical and see what could be the easiest solutions in terms from the governance point of view, and definitely social enterprise was the way in which I didn't have to understand deeply all the world of the charities, which is definitely far more complicated in terms of regulations compared to a social enterprise. And still today I reconfirm that going backwards, I would choose the format of a social enterprise because it's giving the opportunity to help people and of course whatever we are doing that for a good cause, and then also convincing people or maybe advising people that it would be a solutions that could benefit a lot of other organizations that maybe have decided to go just for the company choice, and having this opportunity, of course, to reinvest our profit, which at the moment of being a young social enterprise is still not happening, but it will, of course, soon be reinvesting this profit into the community, which is, of course, a way in which you are helping others and then offering and giving to other people. And then we know that then naturally whatever we are doing in life without asking for them comes back. First of all, in terms of joy, the joy that you receive when you help other people. And then you see the results on them, you see the changes, you see the powerful results of the work that you are doing on people and the massive change that is happening in people's life. So it's definitely a format that I'm still 100% convinced it was the perfect choice, and I would really choose it again today. I also strongly believe that there is an active element in which we can't rely on funding only. Absolutely, because the situation in general is already very tough, and we need to be able to go and actively trading and then changing the purpose for which we are trading, but not just having this limited opportunity of trading and a percentage that doesn't make any difference, and then the rest is all funding. The situation is very difficult, and we know that a lot of charities are closing, or then they are thinking of creating a separate element in a separate company for which then they decide to go on a social enterprise to be able to survive, to be able to live and have the organization continue in general. So definitely social enterprise is a business. Because lots of people also make the mistake saying that it's either they treat it like as a hobby, they treat it like as a project. It's none of them. It's a business in which you have all the rules, the commitments, you need to have all the consistency of a business, otherwise results don't happen. And especially it takes a lot of time, a lot of commitment, a lot of efforts, because otherwise the process is already long, and you need to be in that 100%. In order to see results happen, especially when you have, if you have a business and you have a physical venue. We know that the costs are very high, and we don't want to see another social enterprise and another company closing because they are not able to sustain all the costs. That's why when you treat it as a business and you consider that with all the aspects, the marketing, the visibility, the communication, the public relations, etc., combined, of course, also with the opportunity that we have also to apply for grants, which is an amazing chance for which we can offer our activities free. But then in the long term, the aim is definitely to become independent. And this can only happen if you have worked with consistency throughout every day. If I need to go backwards in time, I think it will be of definitely childhood in terms in when I started to be interested in self-expressions, because of course when you are a child you're just throwing some colors on a piece of paper, and then you go to your mom, you show it pretending that's the best masterpiece on earth, and your mom will validate that and of course be proud of what you're doing. And that is also the time in which I started to be practicing some elements. It could be some rituals that I, for example, use now in my shamanic practices, but just not knowing what I was doing. Then, of course, throughout my own life, I decided at some point that I needed something more to help myself facing especially the hard years in which I was working in a corporate environment. And so it's the way in which I started officially to embrace Buddhism and study Buddhism from a formal point of view. And then I've always been in a family that was open to every sort of conversations in terms of having people around, maybe in our home, that were coming from different perspective, beliefs, religions. So despite of coming from a Catholic country and despite of having been to a Catholic school for 10 years, I've always been in an environment in which everyone was welcome, and also having the opportunity to consider that just more like a universal teamwork without a definition, and the feeling that I was belonging to a specific label. And so then from Buddhism I started to integrate meditation and combine together creativity. So some years ago I started to run some creative and meditative workshops. That was my first approach, and then they just became more and more. I started to integrate and study more formally shamanism as well, because shamanism is a form of healing, probably one of the most ancient forms of healing. Nowadays people know Reiki, and the shamanic healing is similar. It just works on a different aspect, but it's a similar way of working that doesn't go only through the mind, because the mind is what creates the problem. So we need of course to embrace, when we are healing some imbalances of people, diseases, etc., on a larger scale, from an emotional point of view, from an ancestral point of view, because many times we are living situations and experiences that come from our ancestors and we are not even aware of that. So that's why we need to see the whole aspect of 360 degrees, and not just working with the mind. What is happening to you? Go back just to childhood. We need to enlarge this aspect. And so this is the way I've started to integrate shamanism into my life. And then from that onwards, it became introducing Ikigai coaching, so working with helping people to find their soul mission, which is something that I particularly love. Integrated that with forest therapy, because we know that the best healer is nature in general. Integrated that with corporate mental health coaching, considering my background in the corporate environment. And then I also decided to embark on a journey of numerology, which has been super fascinating, very hard because numbers are many, but you can't imagine how many times I have people coming to me say, and I've seen constant numbers, mirror numbers, master numbers in my life, and then I always say that's the way of the universe that is trying to grab your attention and tell you there is much more, that you need to work on something. So I found that is a great hook to start having those conversations, sometimes the uncomfortable one, with people, to try to go a little bit more deeper than well-being, because spirituality is not just well-being. It's going deeper and understand there is a wider route and a wider field in which we have the opportunity to work. And so at some point, I've just decided that all this experience of spirituality combined together with just the passion of creativity, what they had in common, the word healing was in common. And that's why it just came natural then at some point to let my soul mission become a space in which the healing was the purpose, just expressed in these two words of art and spirituality. And I'm aware that when I started art and spirituality, the choice of the word spirituality was an hard one. I had a lot of people saying, are you sure? You will face a lot of challenges with this word. And then I just asked myself, do you want a space to be called art and well-being? No. Not at all. That was just and when you feel that your heart is beating strong and you are aligned with the universe, then all the rest come in a natural way. And when you don't see the difficulty yourselves, the difficulties are around and outside in the world magically disappears, because we are creating our own reality. So if we don't see an element in our own reality, then the reality doesn't exist. At Art and Spirituality, we help as beneficiaries minority ethnic women, even if I like calling ourselves international community, still, because it's a word, a definition that we find ourselves hard. I think at the beginning also, when people, now of course they know about us, but at the beginning, especially when they're new, they don't even realize that they are part of a minority community, simply saying that the percentage is lower compared to the local inhabitants. That's why I sometimes reframe it as international community, international background. The highest percentage is between 26 and 45 years old coming to our centers. That of course still we have younger people and elderly coming that are living in the Gorgie Dal Rai area in Edinburgh. And of course we extend and we reach also nearby areas in which, especially because this is an area, the southwest, in which there are not so many spaces in which people can go and have therapies and have a yoga class and have meditations, or come for art activities and just find a similar community, especially happening during the evenings or during the weekends, which was our intent 1 year ago in a survey. We actually found out that as the majority, of course, people are working 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, the real change would have been just to have these activities happening in the weekend in order to be able to benefit vaster part of people that are just working during the week. We support them with all the challenges that they face, that we have been through ourselves as well, the language barriers, coming maybe to a country in which they don't know anyone or they know few people, and they want to find a space that they can call the home again, which is, as a lot of people have said, that this is home, because they feel welcome, they feel not judged at all, they feel themselves, they feel they can express, even if they don't speak English in a proper way, they find that there are other people in the same situations around them, and that just what really matters is to be able to open their heart and see if they feel how they feel in that moment, and see all the changes that they have come through after attending our sessions for several months, and you see them, of course, how this community has gone through in self-confidence, as showing now a way of proving themselves that they are fine, that they are okay, and then they have the right to be vulnerable, the right to be weak, the right to be themselves with all the imperfections, because we are all imperfect beings. In the same way, nature is an imperfect element in life, and that's the way of acceptance and showing ourselves in a way that wouldn't be human, because it wouldn't be real. At Art and Spirituality, we offer a variety of services that can go to 1-hour classes, a couple of hours workshops, therapies. We have different facilitators that are hiring the space or that work through us when, of course, we have the opportunity to find these activities as funded, as free, specifically to the local community. We are offering currently a large amount of activities that are free, which has been proved essential and beneficial to the local community, because this is an area in which actually there is one of the highest percentage of people that are in economic disadvantage and cannot afford to travel to the city center for a class or to pay to attend the therapy, to pay to attend the class. Still, also, we give everyone the opportunity to choose what's the best decision for their economical situation and their personal situation in life. In terms of what sort of classes and workshops we offer, we have, of course, yoga classes, which is, of course, the most popular one, art workshops, breath work, sound bath, cooking classes, shamanic healing, or workshops. We have activities that are trauma-informed for the part of our community that would benefit more of that, like diving into the nervous system regulation and trying to help people through the somatic movement, to be in touch with the way their body is expressing in general, and trying to navigate all the challenges that they're going through. And then, of course, we also have different workshops coming throughout the years in which there is a combination of the different creative therapies and the healing parts as well, in which every facilitator has the ability to mix and match and create an alchemic cocktail of offering what they feel is just resonating with them, and also merging with our philosophy. Still, we don't ask any teacher to agree with what we do, because there is, of course, a freedom of offering whatever you feel. There is no request of having a specific belief. What I always say, just call it universe, and just think that we are all part of the same universal energy, and cooperating and co-working together just to help ourselves and others. The support, I think, of course, a social enterprise needs at the beginning is definitely the workforce. So having people that are able to support you and help you to create and build what you have, because without a team, definitely it's very hard to build something. Having said that, have to recognize that definitely I do the majority of the work myself. Simply because I've been used to that through my past corporate life. So I've always been used to work a very high amount of hours. Definitely I'm grateful that I have the support of volunteers that just come here for classes, and then at some point they need to return this help and just offer themselves to be of help, like of social media, of doing some video editing, of creating some content, writing some piece, which I find is beautiful because it's there. We have the opportunity, of course, to see that what we are doing is expressed through their lenses, through their words, and so the input is coming from them directly. Then definitely other people that are on our board that are supporting in terms of adding their professional expertise on some new project that we are building and taking different angles and different skills that are contributing, because of course we know that we need the elements coming from different people in general to build something. In terms of support as a social enterprise, I think for sure, the recognition, the validation that social enterprise out there should have, which sometimes doesn't come because simply people don't know what a social enterprise is. They think we are a charity, end of the story, and so they have already an opinion about a charity. And so knowing exactly what we are doing, and especially knowing that we are putting a lot of hours, a lot of efforts to try to be able to merge the two situations, the business and also the not-for-profit one. It's extremely challenging. It's a situations in which we need to say, of course, for the first 2, 3, 4 years, you don't see the results that you would expect. But still, I think we have the opportunity of benefiting here, at least in Scotland, of support that probably maybe in my home country it wouldn't exist, and I know it doesn't exist. So I'm absolutely, when I hear people complaining, I always say that I feel grateful for all the support that I've had. The help and the support that I've received from the Edinburgh Social Enterprise Network and the people that have, especially at the beginning when I started, approached me and tried to offer their help, is when you are trying to navigate an environment that maybe for you is entirely new because you come from an entirely different concept. And specifically, I had Stephen that was taking care of the members at the beginning and now is CEO of the organization, trying in a very informal and beautiful way to try to have a conversation and be practical and be very supporting and say, where do you need help from a very practical point of view? So just trying to be down to earth and trying to see, okay, how can we support more what you are doing so that we can create a wider range and network of organizations, which has nowadays grown up to big numbers, to try to reach more people. The collaborations in general in life are important because simply it's very simple. When you are one person, you can reach and do as much. When you are collaborating and having business partners in general in your life, of course, I think you can, first of all, reaching more people in general, but also creating a beautiful, wonderful nets in which then maybe there are some of your partners, specifically that we have some charities that are partnering with us, a social enterprise, that maybe are based in the other side of the city, in the north, and they have beneficiaries, people that normally go to them, but they are living outside of the area. So these collaborations, these partnerships allow us to work together, because sometimes we can just, of course, exchange and signpost about our offerings for people that would can just avoid traveling maybe for 1 hour and go to the other side of the city and can attend not maybe similar sessions, but beneficial sessions that can happen in our space, and just simply have that support and that help, in which, from a logistical point of view, is absolutely more simple. Then collaborations are essentials in terms of knowing what's happening, because we know that there is not one place in which you can know and find out all that is happening in the situations of among organizations, or in the funding aspect in general, or might be in news that we need to be aware of. And by having those conversations, you come across information that, of course, maybe are essential for your organizations. Plus, last and of course not least, there is the heart aspect of the knowing and that we are interconnected. So we are all connected through our hearts, to our exchange of experiences, and that's absolutely the best part of the collaboration, despite of all the business aspects. Is just knowing other souls that are on the same journeys, maybe in a different field, in a different environment, but they are also still helping people in the same way we do, which is through love, passion, and huge commitment. And when I need to answer what I love about Edinburgh, it always goes back in my mind to the moment when I moved here 12 years ago. I moved to Edinburgh because I had a déjà vu. I literally came here for a weekend as a tourist. And the first time I saw the castle, I had a very quick image for a few seconds, and of course my reaction was, I'm tired. And then the moment I was going around the city, I had already that sense that I had already been here, that there was this strong feeling of familiarity. And of course, as I'm a spiritual person, I do believe in incarnations. I do believe that other lives are possible, have been possible. And so at the end of that weekend, I decided to move to Edinburgh. It was really very much a decision moved by my heart. So I went back to my office, I resigned, then it took me 3 months before just getting organized and finished all the events that I had in place, because I didn't want to leave from one day to the other one, and decide to move to Edinburgh and hopefully restart another life. But then I had to stay in the same environment, corporate environment, for other extra years. And what I still love in Edinburgh nowadays is definitely that sense of, it sounds like living in a fairy tale. That sense of everyone is friendly, everyone is supportive, people are not judgmental. I come from a city, Milan, in which people are extremely judgmental, in which it's all appearance. They give you the first impression in the way you, especially, don't know if your shoes are matching your bags, those colors. And I do feel the pressure when I need to go back to my hometown and see, what am I going to put in the suitcase? I'm not matching that requirements, that expectations anymore. And the beautiful thing is that probably nowadays I don't care anymore. It's just basically what I put in the suitcase now when I go there, just myself, and the happiness of being in a city that has given me again the chance of building a second life, which I was not thinking was possible. That's why I always encourage people when I see that they feel very discouraged, that they think I'm too old to make a change. I always say, look, I moved to a new city when I was not 20 years old anymore, and my life entirely changed, and definitely I found the so-called ikigai, the way of defining and finding your happiness, which is not in an external conditions, but in just being able to do what you love, which can be any sort of course of activity in your life. And this, I think, what I can really still reconfirm of Edinburgh. Edinburgh gives you the chance to be who you are, free, with all the warmth from the people that maybe the weather doesn't provide. It's just the beginning, this is what I say, even if it's just been 3 years of being a social enterprise. It's just the beginning of building and scaling to a lot of projects that we still need to introduce. It's just a matter of things will happen slowly, and then when the time is right, with all the projects that we want to realize. So definitely growing in terms of probably of team, which would be the best solution. In order to have more things to happen, we need to grow in terms of a team, in terms of projects, in terms of being able to have more visibility and reach more people that maybe they're still not aware that we exist, because we have to say that despite of being in 2025, not everyone uses social media, not everyone is aware that we are here, but sometimes they just come and pass through and they see our shop, they see or they have been recommended to be with us. And we really hope that in, I think Edinburgh is around 500,000 people, 1 million during the Fringe Festival. We can really reach the highest numbers as possible in terms of having more women that we can support, more people that we can support, so that we can spread out the word and open up and have that sort of awakening of people. And with all the people that don't make enough time to take care of themselves, trying to understand that there are people out there, must be us as a social enterprise or other social enterprises, other organizations, charities in the cities that are just there to help them. And so there is help, we just need to find the courage to ask. And sometimes we don't have the courage to ask. I'm just thinking of a recent case of a workshop that we were running here, and with surprise, one of the person that came here said that she didn't have the courage to dream. And that I found it was a very profound and surprising answer. Because we always say dream is free, but sometimes the reality is so difficult and it's so hard. And we think that definitely our dreams cannot become true when instead they can. So believing that dreams can become true, I can only see a beautiful growth for what we are doing. And without defining nowadays what is going to be in 12 months, because that's also part of the creative process, and allow also things to unfold in the universe. So without pre-deciding anything so much in advance, despite of the business plan, it's always sometimes beautiful to leave that to the heart and the moment, and co-create with others what we need to expand in the activities that we are proposing. Art and spirituality is the alchemy of healing through the journey of the soul to express your emotions through creativity, and the deep journey that the soul is taking to help itself and possibly others.